Hello everyone, welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We thank you so much for joining us here today. Really appreciate it. As always, let's tell you what we got on the show, and it's pretty good. We are live today early in the morning, back again, and the UN has now asking Facebook to possibly reconsider helping out with human rights. Wow, that's a lot of power for Facebook. Should they have all the power? I don't think so. Trump is going after Jeff Sessions over an indicted GOP congressman. Nike is choosing Colin Kaepernick in an ad campaign, so conservatives are burning now all their Nike gear. U.S. commander is calling for an end to war in Afghanistan, and a best GoFundMe ever. That's what we have on today's show. Alright, so yeah, we do have quite a lot of stuff to get to here today, and yeah, we are back today for daily shows or shows throughout the weekday. This will be going on for at least the foreseeable future. I don't know, like really for how long. So please, yes, stay tuned to Twitter. Follow me at SBW272 and the front page of the website, Spreaker.com/TSWS. That'll be updated with any changes. So yeah, we're definitely going to be doing the show for sure throughout the midterm elections, because we're going to have our special live midterm election coverage. I is sure thought you kind of just want to get a little bit of a briefing on that, because this is, for me at least, as we're doing this show here in the morning, this is the start of New Year. This is the start of New Year. I don't care what anyone says about New Year's Eve and all that stuff. Yeah, so what makes a terrorist? No one knows. Our country is founded as it was on revolution. It's a perfect example of the moral relativism of terror. So the British American revolutionaries would probably qualify as terrorists, but in the U.S. we see the fighters as heroes. Their adulation of worthy, absurdly priced Broadway tickets at Hamilton. Each mass shooting brings cries to label the perpetrator as a terrorist, and debates rage in the media over the racially loaded term. Oppressive governments worldwide use the word to refer to their opposition, while others label those same governments agents of terror. According to philosopher K.A.J. Cody, the definition of the term is inherently irresolvable because its natural home is polemic, ideological, and propagandist context. Because yeah, you can pretty much stick the word on anyone for any meaning, and it just pretty much all depends on your perspective. Like, it all depends on who, if you're receiving the terror, if the terrorism is benefiting you or something that you like the people who attacked in 9/11 on the Twin Towers, the people who blew up the Twin Towers, like, they were obviously considered terrorists to like 90% of the world, but the people in the Middle East who hated America, some of those radical factions in the Middle East, they probably liked them, and that's they're probably going to deal with. Yeah, so those contradictions make policing online forums like Facebook pretty tricky, to say the least. Though the UN often condemns what they consider terrorist acts around the world, especially directed at civilians, they're concerned about Facebook adopting an overbroad definition of the term. Special Rapporteur Fionnuala Ni Olaine, Fionnuala, I guess, recently sent a letter to Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg asking he consider this ambiguity in his company's policies. Ni Olaine, I don't know, suggested in a letter that Facebook followed the UN guiding principles on business and human rights, which recommends limiting this impact of the platform's rules on free speech and creating effective, user-friendly, transparent methods to mitigate those impacts. 3 words that don't exactly spring to mind when contemplating Facebook's policies. So yeah, effective, user-friendly, and transparent. No. Yeah, Facebook's done a lot of things in the last year, and it's very hard for me at least, to come out and say that, yeah, it's been effective, user-friendly, transparent, whatever. Just Security says the rapporteur specifically cited Facebook's definition of a terrorist organization as any non-governmental organization that engages in premeditated acts of violence against persons or property to intimidate a civilian population, government, or international organization to achieve political, religious, or ideological aim. The use of such sweeping definitions is particularly worrying in light of a number of governments who are seeking to stigmatize diverse forms of dissent and opposition, whether peaceful or violent, as terrorism. So that's pretty much what they're doing there is, and the fact that there's two real facets here to this to really be quite worried about. There's the fact that Facebook can quantify these as terrorists, these just random people as terrorists, people that could possibly be dissenting in the government and not really doing any terrorism things. If the government says they're terrorists just for dissenting, that could be a little bit of a problem. But also, there is a situation, 2 billion people use the site. It's a massive influence in the world. Should they have this much influence, and should they be able to label terrorism as such? It just seems a little crazy. There is a reason to be concerned about how Facebook's policies might classify speech even within the U.S. So this is going to be pretty interesting here. Even here at home, there's a little bit of a problem. Recently leaked FBI report shows the agency was concerned by the violence of black identity extremists, an identification that led to some jail time based on Facebook posts of some Black Lives Matter activists. So when we talk about enemies of the states and terrorists, with that comes automatic stripping of those people's rights to speak and protest, and marginalize legitimate voices within a political debate that are calling for racial and economic justice. Neil Lane has now met with Facebook to discuss her concern and was encouraged by the dialogue. She said Facebook indicated a willingness to discuss these issues in a productive way, engaging with human rights and humanitarian law compliance concerns raised by the mandate, she told Just Security. The mandate of her UN office will be also reaching out to other platforms whose practices mirror Facebook, who have not been as transparent and open with their working methods and criteria. Yes, that's going to be something that's going to be very interesting. So, but even here, Splinter writes, I think, pretty accurately here. But even if they're willing to listen to authorities like the UN, Facebook always will be woefully inequipped to make these decisions. The world's full of groups who hate each other and believe that they are in the right. There's no really way to make everyone happy. Most importantly, companies like Facebook, Twitter, and other massively popular platforms don't really care what we want as long as we use their services. Facebook represents no one but themselves. It's an important thing. So, and that's the important. It kind of brings the question: should they have this power? Should they have this incredible amount of power to regulate terrorism, which can and decide terrorism, which could talk about which people which could determine who is in the right, who is in the wrong. Just we don't want to have Facebook determining that. So should they have that power? I just really don't know. I really don't think so. I don't think it's a very good situation, to say the least. So that's what happens when they kind of over-adopt that broad definition of that term. So we now turn back to politics every day. That's what happens. It was a holiday yesterday, so Donald Trump is releasing all his pent-up anxiety over having to take a back seat to the John McCain tributes all week. He doesn't seem to be content in obstructing justice, only the investigation of his own campaign, where he's now interfering with the criminal cases of 2 Republican congressmen who were indicted last month. And he's doing it by throwing his own attorney general under the bus again. So he's back to criticizing Jeff Sessions after attacking AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka yesterday. He now is turning his attention to Attorney General Jeff Sessions over the indictments of Chris Collins and Duncan Hunter of New York. So you all know Collins and his son were arrested. This happened it's actually kind of a long time ago. They were arrested and charged with insider trading in early August, while Hunter and his wife were indicted later the same month for wildly misusing campaign funds. Collins and Hunter were the first 2 members of Congress, respectively, to endorse their then candidate Trump for president, which is pretty ironic and pretty funny. They were one of the first supporters, and they are the only two people in Congress that are currently in danger of going to jail at the moment. So, yeah, very amusing there. So, the 18th month federal investigation of Hunter was prompted by reports in the San Diego Union Tribune. Collins had been under investigation for well over a year. So, yeah, here's Trump appearing to obstruct justice in 2 criminal cases in this tweet, so saying, quote, and 2 tweets against members of his own party via Twitter on Monday. 2 long-running Obama-era investigations of 2 very popular Republican congressmen were brought to a well-publicized charge just ahead of the midterm elections by the Jeff Sessions Justice Department. 2 easy wins now and out because there's not enough time. Good job, Jeff. But then he goes on to say, the Democrats, none of whom voted for Jeff Sessions, must love him now. Same thing with lying James Comey. The Dems hated him, wanted him out, thought he was disgusting, until I fired him. Immediately he became a wonderful man, saint-like figure, in fact. Really sick. I mean, he does kind of have a point out like there. They really hated Jim Comey until I think he's kind of getting the date wrong. Not till he fired him. Like, that secured his status as someone of the resistance, but they hated him from way back. They both hated him until Trump fired him because, yeah, you kind of forgot to leave one detail out, Trump. It's because he was, investigating you for a serious crime at the time. So I don't think your political opponents would like that you just fired the guy who's investigating you. But anyway, yeah, so there is that important thing to leave in there. But again, on this front, and as a Democrat, I could say that I really don't like Jeff Sessions. Why? I think he's an awful attorney general, and here's the thing: he's doing his job. He's doing literally the bare minimum. He's just doing the bare minimum to get by. That's how obvious these law violations are. There is literally evidence, and he's just using it to just do his job. It's that simple. Yeah. So last week, Politico reported that Trump embarked on a fierce lobbying campaign to turn Republican senators against Sessions for weeks. Trump has been venting his anger against Sessions to any senator that will listen. So, in other words, Trump is in a lot of trouble, and that's definitely going to be a story to watch out for. Yeah, so now, speaking of a story that a lot of people are going to be triggered about, I really wasn't speaking about it first, but yeah, so anyway, in the great American tradition of destroying perfectly good merchandise in protest, morons are out in force again, setting their expensive sneakers on fire to own the libs. We got a lot of owning the libs going on right now in the country. So let's take a look at this. This is Sean Clancy at SClancy79 saying, first, the NFL forces me to choose between my favorite sport and my country. I choose country. I love that sentence already. Then at Nike forces me to choose between my favorite shoes in my country. Since when did the American flag and the national anthem become so offensive? Jesus, stand and fight. This is him burning his expensive shoes.
I'm going to enjoy. Hell, I might buy some Adidas.
What?
You know how many other sneakers there are to buy, to choose from? You're going to go ahead and say, hey, buy them our shoes. We stand with people who kneel for the national anthem. Well, sorry, Nike. I've been buying you for the past 20 plus years. Not anymore.
Damn.
Not only am I burning my favorite pair of Nikes, you are burning your sales. Have a good day.
Yeah, I'm sure their sales are really screwed. Because 30% of the country is really going to... 30% of one country in the world is really going to fall through on this boycott. They're going to be back buying Nike by the time 2019 rolls around. They'll say, I don't like Nike. It's so mad. But Nike's going to cave to the pressure. You watch. It's going to happen. This is obviously about football. ESPN Darren Ravel reported that the controversial NFL player and anti-racist activist Colin Kaepernick will be on the face of Nike's Just Do It campaign 30th anniversary, conservative dumbasses online reacted in the way everyone suspected. So yeah,